Episode 3 of Silo was that was something. Uh, Plot twists abound in this episode, but also still no answers to questions. There's, I think, more questions that now need answering. So we're starting to layer on top of each other. I don't know how many episodes there are in this first season. Um, 8, 10, I really don't know, but we're through like what I would consider to be the first chunk of episodes, and I would think there would be a little bit of closure. If not in this episode, then probably in the next episode, we're probably going to start to get some answers on a few things. Um, in any case, I'm going to be diving into everything today. If you haven't watched the episode yet, go ahead and watch it first. I don't do spoiler free, so this is your warning that there will be spoilers ahead because I am going to be talking about all the things. So, with that being said, 5, 4, 3, 2, and here we go. So the episode starts off with um, Juliette picking up where the last episode left off. She's hanging on that rope above the water, and she's just completely terrified because she's never seen that much water. None of these people know how to swim. It's crazy stuff here. So she comes back up and goes back up top, and she's dealing with that fear throughout the early parts of the episode. But there's also something that happens later on when she's in the chamber trying to cool down the I don't remember what that piece of machinery was for the generator, but she's trying to cool down the steam chamber, and she ends up having to get stuck in deep water, and she's treading water and stuff. So I wonder if that's going to lead into her slowly getting over her fear of deep water and being able to go back down again. I'm kind of jumping ahead there with that statement, but it's fine. If you've seen the episode, you know what I'm talking about. In any case, that's one part of the episode is Juliet's character dealing with her fear of water. The other one is the ongoing decision for Holston to have recommended her to be the new sheriff. And the mayor agrees with this decision, travels down with the deputy to meet her, sees her in action dealing with what's going on with the generator, and ultimately decides that she does want Juliet to be the next sheriff. Now, this is something that's opposed by the judiciaries. They actually end up kind of low key threatening her during lunch. We get Common's character that shows up with strawberries, and he's like, "Oh, a gift from the judge. We need to make sure that we get this other guy in position immediately because we can't afford to wait anymore because there's unrest and all this other stuff going on." Um, so yeah, they want one person. Holston wanted Juliet. The mayor tends to want Juliet. And most of this is deal just because of the way she deals with problems. And the reason that she the mayor ends up wanting Juliet is because she sees her in action with the generator. So one of the major, I would say, core stories to this episode is the fact that their generator is probably going to fail at some point in the near future. Apparently, there is a rotor blade that is messed up, and you got to think this thing's been operating for, I mean, at least a couple hundred years. Excuse me, it's been 140 years since the rebellion. We don't know how many years before that. At least I don't know how many years before that the silo's been in place. And apparently, in the history that they have at 140 years, the generator has never been shut down ever. It will plunge the entire silo into darkness, and that's something that is terrifying for everyone. So it's never been done. But this thing is going to blow up, and if it blows up, it won't be repairable. So the idea is that they need to shut it down, fix whatever's wrong with it, and um, yeah, go from there. And in the lead up to this, the mayor and the deputy come down and they see Juliet in action as she is um, figuring out what's going on and realize that they need to make this big repair. And during the midst of all of this is when the mayor offers her the job as sheriff, and she ends up saying no. Ultimately, in the beginning, she says no, but then she looks at the badge that Holton left for her, and on the backside of the badge is inscribed the word truth, and that leads her to go, "Oh, you know, I should take this up." I apologize for the yawns, everybody. I've been up since 3 o'clock in the morning. It is what it is. I do yawns in my reviews. It's late. It's time for bed. Um, Ultimately decides to pursue the job because she wants to be able to find out the truth that Hey everyone, Renfail here with the commercial part of the video where I say, hey, if you like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss an update. And thanks to all of our supporters are here on YouTube and over on Patreon, our highest members, our guild champions, Crazy's relative Remy D here on YouTube. And don't forget, if you want to support, it's really easy. You can do the memberships below, the Adventurers Guild, 3 different tiers. There's also the super thanks on any uploaded video or YouTube short that you find. There's also, of course, the super chats and stickers that you could do on any live stream or premiere, and the Patreon page if you want to dive into the fantasy world that I have with my brother and my wife, which is a tabletop game, a point and click adventure game, and a fantasy book series. All are great ways to keep this channel going and me going full time. Thanks again for those of you who support. Let's get back to the video that you're watching now. Holston was talking about, and with that badge, she should be able to get better access to things and investigate things. So she ultimately decides to take it, but her condition is that she's allowed to shut down the generator for one night so they can make repairs. But ultimately, that doesn't end up happening because they can only shut it down for 30 minutes, blah, 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 blah. That's the huge crisis that's going to happen. And during the crisis, we get this scenario where the only way to cool down this steam chamber that's, going to kill everybody basically, she jumps in and starts hosing it down with cold water, and the chamber that she's in starts to fill up, and she ultimately ends up nearly drowning, which leads me to believe that that's probably an important moment for her because it's going to have her face her fear of deep water and face her fear of sort of learning how to swim instinctually and using that to get down to whatever it was that George found down in the depths of that water at the base of that chamber where the old machine is at. At least I'm assuming. Something else that popped into my mind tonight was a couple of things. One was generational ships. We've had this discussion in a somewhere before. I don't remember where it was. Probably during one of my tabletop sessions. The idea of generational ships of people who end up being born several generations into the ship, and they don't know any reality other than the one that they've been faced with, and so they don't really understand the history that came before. They just realize that these are their jobs and this is what they're here to do, and they can't fathom any existence outside of what they've been put in place to do. And that's kind of the scenario that all of these people are in right now, because it's kind of like a generational ship, and that they've all been down here for generations and generations doing the same jobs, and it's a creepy scenario. But the other thing here is when they're trying to figure out how to fix the rotor blade, they talk about this steam that comes up to, you know, move the generator, and how they say that no one knows where the steam comes from or how it gets there. They just know there's a pipe. And that just led me to believe that, well, where is the steam coming from? Is that from the center of the planet? Is there another machine further down? Like, where does the steam come from? How did the founders know to build that um, steam pipe? And if that was the case, what are they tapping into? And if they built multiple silos, which I think they did. I don't know that it's explicitly mentioned here in the show, but I remember when I was doing my reading, because someone mentioned that this is a book series, I saw mention of the fact that there's 40. They talk about 41, silo 40, silo 43, or something like that. I'm like, so there's at least 40 silos. Okay. I need to know more about that. Hopefully, we're going to find more out about that in the show. Um, Anyway, crisis averted. They fixed the rotor blade, at least for now. She accepts the job. The mayor goes up and starts to celebrate with the deputy. Turns out they have a romantic relationship going on, and then it turns out that she's been poisoned, and he comes in on her dying in the bathroom floor. So obviously, we don't know who poisoned her yet, but obviously someone took her out because they were disappointed with her appointing Juliette as the sheriff when the judiciaries wanted somebody else. So somebody within the judiciaries, or someone paid by the judiciaries, someone within that circle who was upset at her decision to put Juliette place as the sheriff is taken action and has taken out the mayor with poison. So the plot thickens. So again, no answers to anything in this episode, just more questions, but it's a nice lead up. But I gotta say, episode 4, if I don't start to get some answers by episode 4, I will start to raise questions of my own and being like, okay, that's this. Because usually, if an episode hasn't started to give us answers by episode 4, I will start to complain just a little bit, because you're sort of kind of getting to the halfway point, whether it's an 8 episode series or a 10 episode series. By episode 4, we need to be starting getting some answers on a few things. So it remains to be seen. But in the meantime, I'm very happy with where this is going. Another great episode. I felt like the tension was good throughout. The acting was good. The plot has thickened. I'm enjoying it. Let me know your thoughts down below. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon. See everybody in the next episode. Peace.